Welcome to Ready, Set, Sold with your host, Bryan Vogt. Are you wanting or even thinking about selling your house but don't know where to start? Good thing you found Ready, Set, Sold. And now, real estate broker, Bryan Vogt.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ready, Set, Sold. I am your host, Bryan Vogt. Happy spring. Isn't it amazing? It's springtime already. The market is unbelievable. It truly is. We're looking at a market that we haven't seen in years, almost completely across the board. I mean, there's always going to be a few sections or, areas that maybe aren't doing quite as well. But when you start looking at Balboa and Swansea and Shiloh and Fairview and near Scottsdale Space, Mascoutah, Edwardsville, Townsville, Glen, I mean, the list goes on. Columbia Worrell, they've been having some great success for a few years already, and they're just exploding. So, again, if you are looking to buy a home, understand that the pickings are getting slim. There are still some deals out there. There's still some houses that you can get. They're not all gone, but the reality of it is that they are fading fast. They really are. And interest rates are creeping up. It's not probably going to affect you not to be able to buy a home if you're buying, but just keep in mind that, it's never a good thing when interest rates go up. Why pay more, however much it is, when you can have the house right now in the house of your dreams? Same thing for sellers. We talk about this a lot on the show. 90 to 95% of all sellers are going to become buyers. So it's the same situation for you too. However, with what we're seeing now in the market, we're seeing more and more sellers getting what they're asking or very close to asking in a very short period of time. And what we really have going on is we have a housing shortage, and that's a great thing if you're a seller. We have seen, again, across the board, time after time at time, that there just isn't enough houses, and that's a great time if you're a seller. So if you're even thinking about it, maybe it was December and it didn't work out last year. New season, new opportunities. Contact your realtor. Hopefully they've contacted you and spread the word out, because this market is something that we don't know how long it's going to last. We hope naturally that it will keep having legs and moving on the entire year. But as you heard me talk on the show, I put it in the book, Ready, Set, Sold, 12 proven steps to get your home sold for top dollar in a fast sale. 3 months. So you have 3 month windows, kind of like the seasons go. It can just go that way. It can be 3 months. Every 3 months, there could be changes. Now, we're always hoping for the good, but things can change not for the good. With that said, I want to introduce a very good friend of mine and a fantastic insurance agent who is the president of Harnist Insurance, and that is Joe Harnist. Joe, you there?
I am, Bryan. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. And Joe, you just recently yourself celebrated 40 years in the business of real estate. Now, I got to be honest with you, I wasn't born yet when you started, and that's okay. But
I wasn't either, but that's okay too. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, me and Joe have actually known each other that long, are close to it ourselves. So anyway, he is going to be talking today, though, about insurance, and some of the topics we're going to be talking about. Some will be in other segments, but I think the first one we'll be talking about is, are you covered? And then there's also the situation of how credit affects your insurance and what that costs you. And then, just making sure that you have the coverage that you need. So, Joe, why don't we start with, though, the first one is, and I think that's always a concern for buyers or sellers, do you have the coverage that you should have? And how does somebody know?
Yeah, Bryan, I always run into this because, especially new home buyers, they're learning the whole process of buying a home and everything else, and trying to, especially if they just got married and they're, pulling their lives together as one, they really need to pay attention to what they're looking at, what they're buying, and the coverages under a home. I mean, you can buy what the bank requires you to buy to get your mortgage, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to protect you for all the exposures that you have when you buy a home. The basic policy covers the house for fire and theft and windstorm and hail and those type of things. But you have to add on earthquake coverage. You have to add on mine subsidence. If you have a lower level of the house and it's finished, or even if it's unfinished, but you got the furnace and the hot water heater down there, and maybe some personal property stored down there, and you've got a sewer, you may want sewer backup coverage in there. Obviously, if they just got married, there's a wedding ring and an engagement ring, and you want to make sure that you have that scheduled on the policy so that if you lose a stone out of the setting, that it's covered, because otherwise it's not, and you don't want to go through that. Fine arts, if you have fine arts in your home, or I don't know how many people have antiques anymore. It used to be a thing where people had antiques, but you could have an antique dining room table or something that was passed down through the family. It's insured as a piece of furniture, as a dining room set, but the value of it as an antique may be a lot more than what you would be able to buy, in a regular store. So if you want to cover it for the value of it as an antique, you have to have it appraised and scheduled on your policy. Those are things that, people just don't think about and you don't look at. Mechanical breakdown coverage, if you're, not all companies offer that. We do have a couple that do, that cover, the breakdown of your air conditioning system or your dishwasher, mechanical breakdown of your dishwasher. There's coverages for that. Something else to look out for, they throw out this is your quote, this is $1,000 deductible. Sometimes they don't always mention that there's a separate deductible for wind and hail, and we've seen it with other companies where they've had a wind hail deductible of 1 or 2% of the value of the house, and when you're buying a $300,000 or $400,000 house, you could have a $3,000, $6,000, or $8,000 deductible on a hailstorm on your roof, and you don't want to get surprised by that. So know what your deductibles are at the same time.
There's some things I want to kind of go back to that I thought was really important, that it's true. You made a great point, Joe. There are times where maybe the numbers are a little bit tight when someone, especially first-time home buyers, not always, but the numbers can be tight, and you need to have that coverage for the bank. And so that's step one. Not always, but that's a great point to make. So you want to have that coverage and move forward with it. But I love what you said is the trouble is, I think, that too many people think, well, they're done. And what I'm hearing from you, and I can only imagine, is that not all online insurance companies, of course, but I would imagine many of them, it's almost like you're picking your buffet, but you don't know what you're picking. For example, right. And just to follow up one last point on that, and I'll throw it to you. Look, if you don't have, in the Metro East, if you don't have mine insurance, what the heck are you doing? I mean, seriously. And no, it's not like the mines that Southern Illinois is sinking. I don't mean it that way. But again, the cost factor is just, and also earthquake insurance. Again, we do have that big San Andreas. I think it's San Andreas, or I'm not sure what the name of it is.
New Madrid.
New Madrid fault. Okay. Yeah. No, we don't expect it, but for goodness sakes, for the cost factors, I mean, it's just a no-brainer. And I just don't know. You can maybe address this. I'm not sure how an online company based in California or New York or East Coast, West Coast is going to have that type of information to be able to give a local person getting insurance.
Right, and they don't realize that we're in a mine subsidence zone either. A lot of times too, we've seen that happen before too. Even though it is mandated by the state of Illinois, that you have to have mine subsidence unless you specifically sign off on it. but having the subsidence and the earthquake together is very important.
Time is running short. We'll be talking more with Joe Harnist, president of Harnist Insurance. We're going to be coming back with Joe, talking more about insurance and the importance it does. And I think most people know this already, but whether you're selling or you're buying, the importance of getting a good insurance agent that has the experience, that has the knowledge, that is looking after your interests, not just, unfortunately, the almighty dollar, but really concerned about it. And that's really important. You're listening to Ready, Set, Sold. We'll be back in a few.